We decided to go outside and speak with the vehicle's occupants. After we approached, the man in the driver's seat threw something in the back, turned the car on and sped out, almost crushing John against the barrier. That was the end of the day. The saga of the world's dumbest motherfucker, without question, Trevor Meltdown Milton, continues. This time, an absolutely insane, truly bizarre, you literally can't make this stuff up, thread from Hindenburg Research, the short-selling research firm, who exposed a huge part of the Nikola fraud for which Trevor Meltdown Milton is currently on trial. Look, let me just sum it up, okay? Hindenburg Research noticed some shady stuff going on. One of the folks within Nikola who was sharing inside information gets a suspicious email from, I'm not even kidding you, someone named Natalia with an email address including 007. Hello, you can't make this shit up. Literal Russian spy kind of shit. Let's just read the thread. And before we get into it, if you want to instantly unlock over 100 exclusive videos, plus my 10-year Tesla stock price targets and loads of other perks, including optional access to my Tesla valuation model, join our growing community of thousands of supporters on Patreon with the link in the pinned comment. You can also pick up some Tesla, Elon, and investment-themed merch in the merch store. Trevor Meltdown Milton, billionaire founder of Nikola, is currently on trial for fraud. Gee, that's surprising. Shortly after his hydrogen truck company was exposed, an army of hackers and spies started targeting his critics and whistleblowers. Here's what happened and how we turned the tables. Now, for those that don't know, Hindenburg Research, shout out to Nathan and co, had a huge role in exposing this absolute fucking sham of a company, at least in their opinion. Please do your own research, because you might conclude something other than the fact this company is an obvious fraud with fake trucks trying to pump up their retail stock price while also simultaneously actually attempting to make a real product using other companies' technology. That would be battery electric semis. In September 2020, we reported that Nikola's hydrogen truck tech was too good to be true. It was, by the way. The report included evidence from a key anonymous whistleblower, insider Nikola. Milton was subsequently criminally charged with fraud. In October 2020, a month after our report, we learned that a former Nikola employee had his phone account hacked and his messages and emails breached. He was not a whistleblower for our report, but fit the description of a potential whistleblower who Trevor may have suspected. The former Nikola employee later told us that the retired head of New York's DEA office, James Hunt, was knocking on doors in Utah, flashing his DEA badge and asking former colleagues questions about him. Here's some security camera footage. They ain't making this shit up. Hindenburg founder Clarity Toast had also learned from colleagues that private investigators were doing reference checks on him. Within about a week of all this, key whistleblower Insider Nikola received a very suspicious email. The Insider Nikola whistleblower had used Twitter to call out Trevor Milton's numerous lies. He also had an anonymous Proton Mail email account tied to the Twitter account. A couple of sample tweets from Nikola Insider, this one back in June 2020. Coming soon, the facts about the Nikola One development from an insider who was there. Spoiler alert, Trevor Milton is a congenital liar. Perhaps you doubt that I'm really an insider. Reader, I was there. Here's a photo inside. In early October, whistleblower Insider Nikola got an email from a woman named Natalia who claimed to be a journalist with access to The Guardian. This is just so bizarre. She emailed from a Gmail account with the username Natalia 007. Now, those of you who recall the film and or played GoldenEye, you just can't make this shit up. Let's read this email. Hello, my name is Natalia and I am a journalist. I was very interested in what you were doing and I decided to offer you cooperation. Together we can get more attention to this issue and in particular to Trevor Milton. I have friends at The Guardian. We can get an article about this to hit the front pages. Answer me if you're interested in this. One high-profile case that I was in charge of was already included in this publication. I will give you my online business card. You can contact me in any convenient way with me. I am also interested in cooperation because a close friend of mine suffered from Trevor Milton's machinations and I want the whole world to know about this and he will be punished. I hope you are still doing this and are not here. Would you like me to interview you? Reply me if you read this. I hope this mailing address is still valid. Look at this email, bro. Oh my god, dude. Insider Nikola suspected the email was a ruse to discern his identity. Well-founded suspicions, I suspect. It was clunky, but concerning, and had a suspicious link. We contacted John of Citizen Lab, an expert in cyber espionage and hacking against civil society and whistleblowers, for help. There's also an image of the suspicious page the email linked to. Elements of the link seemed broken by the time John examined it, but it had hallmarks of a social engineering attempt and possibly phishing. We thought we should ignore the email and just be on guard, but John suggested, quote, what if we engage instead? After all, John has experience in turning the tables on mercenary spies. Through his work exposing cyber arms dealers, he was targeted by the private spies at Black Cube. Then, he ran a high-profile sting on them. By the way, guys, there's a link to the full tweet thread. If you want to click through to some of these secondary links, go for your life. Check out the link in the description. Engaging with Natalia definitely seemed the more interesting path. Insider Nikola responded back, and Natalia reaffirmed that she could get a positive article in The Guardians. Here's the response. As I said, I have connections in The Guardians. The article may appear there. Sorry, I very rarely use mail. We could discuss everything in more detail if you had Telegram or WhatsApp. I mean, come on, guys. Oh, shit. These applications use good encryption. Have you heard about this before? Natalia also promised a source who had, quote, damning documents, memos, video, and audio files. The catch? The source would only meet with our anonymous whistleblower in person. Now, ladies and gentlemen, red flags for fucking days. These are the kind of situations in which you meet up with your person and next minute, one of the two people involved in the meeting ends up in a barrel of acid, never to be seen again. I won't read through this entire email from Natalia, but the long and short of it seems like a huge bait. My source knows lots of too. My source doesn't want to get in trouble, therefore let's be all vague about this, but please meet us in person. Meet me in person. You definitely won't disappear. This is not a setup. Everything's fine. The final paragraph telling. My source will only meet you and provide you with all of the evidence he has in person. One more time. My source will only meet you and provide you with all the evidence he has in person. Please, ladies and gentlemen, think for a moment. The premise of a meeting between anonymous sources made no sense. Surely it would be better to contact Wall Street Journal or another media outlet covering the Nikola Fraud story, us, Hindenburg Research, or just call the feds. Fair points. So, of course, we agreed to meet. The plan. Clarity Toast and John go to the meeting in lieu of the whistleblower, see who turned up, play out the deception, and then confront them. Natalia promised to bring this source, a USB drive with the information, and one sealed manila folder with the original documents that are in his possession. And here's the email again from, quote, Natalia. Middle paragraph here, interesting. I will be attending the meeting as well to ensure my source remains protected. This is good news. At least as far as potentially disappearing from the face of the earth and never being seen again. Multiple parties from both sides planning to meet rather than just two individuals. Natalia wanted to meet on the West Coast, but we pushed for New York City, saying we were in town visiting family. She proposed at 10:30 a.m. at Carl Schurz Park on the Upper East Side, near the mayor's mansion. Another email here, hope you're well, my source and I have cleared our schedules, blah blah blah, planning the meet. We then enlisted Igor Ostrovsky, a surveillance expert who was once hired by Black Cube to spy on Ronan Farrow on behalf of Harvey Weinstein. Igor instead blew the whistle, exposing Black Cube to Farrow, documented in the book Catch and Kill. Igor would arrange for a team to run counter-surveillance, then tail the team with Natalia. Igor's reaction to her location proposal, bad idea. Few entrances, often empty. Easy for the other side to maintain operational control. The park was also close to the mayor's mansion. If they staffed the job with local ex-police, they could run interference on anyone we bought, ask what they were doing there, ask why they were filming, etc. Igor suggested Madison Square Park. Wide open, lots of people, impossible to maintain operational control. The location was scouted, finding 6 tables near the south of the park, and the direction to face for the best lighting for our hidden cameras, given the sun. We're talking some serious business here, ladies and gentlemen. Meanwhile, as the meeting neared, Natalia requested that we switch from email to messaging. Given the potential to unmask us, John devised an elaborate burner setup to make it hard to locate the handset or identify the owner. Day of the meeting, we had a staging area at a nearby hotel where we got set up with buttonhole cameras and audio. Clarity Toast bought a shirt with black buttons, which were then cut off. The top 2 replaced with cameras and the rest restitched with matching ones. We texted Natalia and said Insider Nikola actually had several contributors and we'd feel more comfortable if another person joined. She agreed. From their perspective, it was 2 whistleblowers for the price of 1. John was in as our second whistleblower and was wired too. We also had a water bottle camera and someone whose job it was to sit at a parallel table, face the bottle camera toward our table and talk as though she was on the phone. A camera crew will be ready in a nearby van to jump out when we gave the signal. Can't wait to see how this one ends. This was all during peak plague, so we were all masked and figuring that they couldn't ID us or vice versa with the masks on. This would pose a challenge for both sides. We went to the park and waited, but Natalia was a no-show. Fancy that. 20 minutes passed and finally she texted us. I'm here already. She tried to move us to another part of the park. Red fucking flag. We suspect this was to disrupt potential counter-surveillance efforts. We declined and insisted she join us. Eventually, a woman with a strong Eastern European accent came up to us. She was incredibly nervous. By the way, just a quick aside here. I too have had a woman with an interesting and very foreign accent approach me somewhere super sketchy. Next minute, she attempted to drug me. I knew what was up. Made for a great story. I'll talk about that some other time. But, spoiler alert, if an out-of-place woman with a foreign accent ever ends up approaching you and seems super nervous, it's worth wondering why might that be. We asked Natalia where her source was. She said he was waiting nearby while she vetted us, but she asked us no questions. So we started asking about her backstory. This could be good. Ooh, Natalia. She said she flew from Florida the night before. We asked her, as a journalist, where do you publish? She answers, the internet. They ask, how did you meet your source? She responds, the internet. They ask, have you seen the damning documents on Trevor? She responds, sort of, really quickly, on a Zoom call. By the way, just another real quick interlude here. Just mentioned about that woman who tried to drug me. She actually had an earpiece in, 2 of them in fact, pretending she was listening to music, but she actually had someone instructing her, listening to our conversation on exactly what she should do. It was fucking hilarious and so obvious. I stuck around much longer than I should have just to see how this was going down. Seems like Natalia didn't have the benefit of somebody telling her exactly how to answer, because, I mean, this is some embarrassing shit right here. The internet, sort of. Natalia's backstory had fallen apart fast. She'd come all the way from Florida to introduce a source she'd never met, to show documents she'd barely seen, and had gotten the job because she was a journalist publishing vague articles on the internet. Eventually, the source showed up, looking around suspiciously, and sat. He didn't bring a sealed manila envelope, but said he had a USB with lots of documents. His backstory was more credible. He claimed to be a systems admin at Nikola who wanted to get the word out. And there he is. Throughout our conversation, the source kept leaning in, cupping his ear, saying he was having a hard time hearing us. Smooth, right? He was very interested in whether we'd spoken to the government or to journalists. Boy. Eventually, the source dropped this line, quote, listen guys, I'm having a really hard time hearing you. Maybe it would help if you take your masks off. I mean, bruh, this led to a negotiation. We agreed to take our masks off if they took theirs off and gave us the USB. They agreed. Now, I'm going to jump in here again, back to the story of that woman who tried to drug me. It's a long story. I realized what was going on very early on. I thought it'd be a fun story, and I was always ready to run at any point. I'm not in any real danger here. But this person was trying to pretend to be my friend. Hey, where you from? Blah, 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 blah. So I thought, great idea. I'm going to get a photo of this motherfucker and her name. So what I did, I got her phone, took a selfie of us together, and then a few photos of her individually meeting my new friend, and then told her to send me the photos from her phone. So I would then have her number, and then I also added her details. She gave me just her first name, and I said, I've already got a few of them. What's your last name as well? Now, I'm sure you're thinking, Stephen, come on, man. This story sounds a little bit too good to be true, and, well, that's fine, but here's a photo of the motherfucker right now. Still remember her full name, too. The last correspondence we ever had after she tried to drug me and I bolted, I sent her a text message. She'd show me some photos of her children and stuff, obviously. Struggling to make ends meet, doing whatever it takes. Sent her a message saying, your children would be ashamed to have you as a mother. You are a disgrace. Find a more honest and ethical way to make money. You're a bad human being, and you should be ashamed. These dumbasses, same fucking shit. We all got what we were looking for. Identification and the USB drive. A calm settled over the table. Previously, Natalia had asked how she'd recognized us in the park. Clarity Toast said he would wear a Nikola hat. At this point, he gave the signal, taking the hat off. The camera crew leapt from the van and headed toward us. Clarity Toast then confessed to Natalia and the source. My name is actually Nate Anderson. I'm the founder of Hindenburg Research, and this is my friend, John Scott Railton. They didn't seem to get it. They were unprepared and had no idea we wrote the critical report and that we weren't the whistleblowers they thought. They thought we were just volunteering information. I'm Neil, replied the source, helpfully. Fucking hell. Where did they find these people? These spies must have been in the discount bin in Kmart. Fucking hell. Amateur hour. Jesus. Everyone eventually realized the camera crew was at a table behind us, filming everything. A light bulb went on for Neil, who up and bolted while John followed him asking questions. Natalia froze, and Nate started asking if she had sent the emails to Insider Nikola. We asked if she had sent the first one, trying to establish whether the phishing email had been hers. Yes. The camera was now on her with a boom mic above her head. Natalia became uncomfortable and started swatting at the boom mic, deflecting questions. Overwhelmed, Natalia eventually blurted, quote, I'm not saying nothing else without my attorney. I have a right. This confused us. We've asked a lot of people questions, but never had anyone reply with their Miranda rights. John got back from asking Neil questions and turned to Natalia with more questions. She stuttered and eventually bolted. We went back to the hotel and filmed John putting the USB drive into an evidence bag, bound for a forensics lab. Igor rejoined us at the hotel and reported that there was at least 3 operatives in the park surveilling us, including this gentleman, very openly recording it. Igor left to go home. 20 minutes later, he was back with a cheerful warning. The hotel was being surveilled by 2 people in a dark sedan with tinted windows and electronics equipment in the front, he told us. They'd followed us back. We decided to go outside and speak with the vehicle's occupants. After we approached, the man in the driver's seat threw something in the back, turned the car on and sped out, almost crushing John against the barrier. That was the end of the day. Here's some video.
Hold on.
Whoa! Whoa!
Slow down. Holy shit.
We later ID'd several operatives. Natalia was a used car saleswoman in Miami. Neil was a former DoD contractor with intelligence experience. The surveillance car was owned by a retired NYPD detective who works security. Here is Natalia, clearly in love with her job. Her expression really says it all. From what we gather, Trevor Milton, likely through law firms, hired an army of spies across the nation to harass and intimidate critics and suspected critics. Most people aren't aware that these activities go on, but they are becoming common weapons for the rich and powerful. And again, I just want to jump in here. You guys recall when the Nikola clowns got their PR or their media people to go and do YouTube strike downs on every video from every creator that featured footage of the truck they'd rolled down a fucking hill to deceive investors, to create the false impression that it was moving under its own propulsion? It wasn't just this kind of stuff going on as well. They were going after online creators as well, exposing the company. We're grateful that despite his ample resources, Trevor Milton's efforts to suppress insider Nikola backfired spectacularly. He was the first witness at Trevor's trial and his testimony was damning. I mean, bro, this is the gift that keeps on giving. I'm truly thankful for Trevor Milton, I honestly am. He is a literal definition of the Dunning-Kruger effect. The fact that this moron, allegedly, went to the discount bin in Kmart and hired the cheapest spies he possibly could. Everything this guy has ever touched is nothing but farcical, embarrassing, ridiculous, stupid, and incompetent. Props to the folks at Hindenburg Research, Nate Anderson in particular, for putting himself at personal risk investigating what he believes and what everyone who's actually done their homework believes to be an obvious fraud of a company, pumping up its stock price, while simultaneously attempting to actually make real vehicles by, well, using other people's technology and slapping a Nikola badge on the front. Allegedly. Do your own research. Blah, 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 blah. I swear they are going to make a documentary about this Nikola saga one day and it's going to be amazing. Make sure you got your popcorn ready. Thought I'd share this one. As I said, it really is the gift that keeps on giving. I just can't believe poor Trevor Milton. I mean, he is the literal definition of the Dunning-Kruger effect. The guy thinks he has an IQ of 160, and he is right. He is 4 standard deviations away from average, just in the opposite direction. I'm going to leave it there. I'll continue to cover Trevor Meltdown Milton's trial, and, well, I look forward to seeing justice be served. Lastly, don't forget you can support the channel and unlock a load of exclusive content by joining Patreon with the card in the corner or the link in the pinned comment. There's now well over 150 exclusive videos. You'll also gain instant up-to-date access to my Tesla stock price targets, plus loads of other content and perks. So, see you over on Patreon. And just before I get out of here, I do want to mention, I'm not going to get into too much specific detail, but I also believe that Meltdown Milton and co may have been sniffing around into my own background. But of course, I'm always playing 4D chess, so good fucking luck with that. Didn't work out for you, did it? Let's just leave it there. I'm Stephen Mark Ryan, this is Solving the Money Problem, and I love you all. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you want to support the channel and instantly unlock over 100 exclusive videos, plus my 10-year Tesla stock price targets and loads of other perks, including optional access to my Tesla valuation model, join our growing community of thousands of supporters on Patreon with the link in the pinned comment. You can also pick up some Tesla, Elon, and investment themed merch in the merch store. And if you're still watching, you're awesome. Please let me know your thoughts on today's video in the comments below, and click the card on screen now to watch the next video.